Tuesday night, a little later than usual, but we were back with another episode of Goal Horns and Fight Songs. I'm Mike, that's Wes, and we're here to talk about some more NCHC hockey. Not
Yeah,
all conference play, but you know what? Teams were in action. It's college hockey. It's the best hockey.
yeah. I mean, really, if essentially a kind of other than NI or LIU and Omaha, we had almost a full future uh NCHC slate with Arizona coming in next year. They're playing their partial NCHC schedule. I think in their second series of it right now. Or after this weekend, I think they've played two series. I think they played Miami earlier than the year, right? Or they have them still.
I don't know.
No, they already
I
played
only
them.
put
Yeah, they played Miami, losing in overtime, and then winning a shootout against Miami. Splitting with Denver, which was kind of surprising. But other than that, I mean, five out of the or four out of the five series were sweeps this weekend. So broom sales have skyrocketed. Also, the away team really putting in some work this weekend.
yeah, the away teams they definitely came out to play. Um, especially in some rivalry series, teams like St. Cloud, they came out and they showed what we thought they were going to be as a team this past weekend. Um, some teams continue to surprise us, kind of like North Dakota. Uh, just just a very interesting week because you don't see many road sweeps, especially once we fully get into conference play.
Yeah, for sure. And then to have three was kind of crazy. Um, it's still early in the season. I don't know that a lot of teams are getting worried just yet. Um, I know fans are starting to already kind of throw their chips to the side in certain areas. A lot of talk about Western maybe not being as good as everybody thought they were. But honestly, if you watch the games, yes, they got shut out in game two. It was a 3-0 score, but there was improvement on the defensive end of this Western team. Once again, penalties were kind of an issue. We got to stay out of the box. We can't be taking 5-minute major penalties. Um, Penalties are kind of a touchy subject because I don't know what a penalty is anymore. And literally, anytime somebody touches somebody, I spend the next 30 seconds going, all right, whose arm is up? Where are you on the ice? What did you pretend to see or what did you see? And does it make any sense at all?
And this is something that we talked about it on Saturday, and then we talked about it just before we got on here. Um, the biggest thing for me is if a penalty isn't called on the ice and they go back and review it, it's either all or nothing. And I don't understand that point of it. If you don't call it on the ice, you should have all the options if you're going to go back to review it. But there was a situation, I think there was like 4:02 or something to go in the the Saturday game of UMD. And I don't remember. I was watching it, but I didn't really pay attention because I was so frustrated with the call. Um, it might have been low height or some, or no, it was Goats. Daring Goats goes in, goes for the hit. The kid's kind of falling down, doesn't hit him with an elbow, doesn't hit him with the head, anything. Kind of clips him. The kid's like, "Oh my god, I got just blown up by a freaking howitzer." Lays on the ice, whatever. No penalty call. Clean enough hit. There was nothing wrong with the whole thing. They go back, they review it. Yep, 5-minute major, ejected from the game. It's the end of the game. Like I, there are less than 5 minutes left. North Dakota finished on a 5-minute power play. How can you not call something on the ice and go back and then call a 5-minute major plus a game misconduct on a kid that you thought was a clean play on the ice? You have two of you. One of you two saw it. I don't understand it. You thought it was clean in the moment. Why is it all or nothing? Why are you kicking a kid out for something you didn't call?
Well, that and
And
they
it's
spend like
happened.
18 minutes reviewing something. Like there needs to be like, I don't know if there needs to be like a time limit on what can be reviewed, or if there needs to be a time limit to the review, but like something's got to change because it none of it makes sense, and it's all a waste of time, and we're ruining good hockey games because of it.
And the thing is, I understand if it's called a penalty on the ice and you want to review it for a potential major, yeah, I'm all for that. But if neither of the on ice officials deem it to be a penalty, because they're the closest ones to the play, other than the players that are actually involved or on the ice, nobody is closer to that play than the officials. How can you go and if and say that, oh, well, you didn't call it, you're wrong, it's he's getting kicked out. And this has been a thing for the last few years. um there was a situation in St. Cloud, I don't know, 3 4 years ago. I was at the game. It was a UMD game up there, and big hit in the corner near us, looked fine. I mean, it was kind of like, ooh, that doesn't look like it feels good, but whatever. No penalty called. Stoppage happens. They go, they look at it. They kick the kid out. It's like, well, wait a minute here. What standard do you have? And if you're doing that for, if you're calling down for reviews and then you're either going to call no call or kick a kid out, what standards do you have for the refs?
Yeah.
It, there's no consistency in this league, and um, I I didn't see him because we didn't play trivia last week, but there is a CCHA ref that I played trivia with, and you know, I hold no ill will against him. Whatever, he's doing his job. I just kind of want to ask him, be like, do they have an explanation for this? Like, what are you guys told? Just so I can understand what the referees are trying to do. Or but and I understand it's a totally different league and they might have completely different rules as far as like how they teach their referees and coach them, but it's still the game of hockey and it's still the NCAA. So it's kind of like, what's the purpose of this again?
I mean, every conference has their own rules too. Like nothing's the same across the board. I mean, there are different rules for overtime, different rules for a shootout, how conference points are determined. Like it's such a mismatch, and yet we expect these kids to go out and compete against each other for championships and for national titles, and somehow make it to professional ranks. And then there's some kind of continuity, but it's so. And then there's judgment calls, and there's clear cut penalties, and but my take has always been if it's a penalty in the first minute, it should be a penalty in the 59th minute. If it's clear cut and you see it happen, you should blow the whistle no matter what your feelings are about the situation. If it's a penalty, it's a penalty. I don't care if it's game one or if it's the national title game. But then you're going to get people who are like, oh, that's just the refs like inserting themselves into the game. No, that's the refs calling a fair game. Like this
Yeah,
whole
and
like let players play thing. Yeah, cool. Let players play within the confines of the rules that everyone has agreed upon beforehand and is laid out. Those are the rules we're going to use. It shouldn't be a judgment call every freaking time somebody touches somebody's stick or somebody accidentally bumps them a little too hard in the corner. No, if you're hitting the numbers, then it's either checking from behind. If you're hit with the shaft of the stick, it's a cross check. If you're, and it doesn't matter where in the ice you are. So if you're 3 feet from the goaltender on the crease, or you're next to the boards, or you're a foot off the boards, like if the defensive player turns his back and gets hit into the boards, is it boarding or is it not? Did he have enough time to willfully put himself in danger? And if so, does should the player hitting him be penalized for it if he doesn't have enough time to stop? I think we could write language that clears that up and makes it understandable that that should or shouldn't be a penalty. And then if it's reviewable, it should be reviewable for what, 90 seconds at most. Stop slowing everything down so we're looking at it frame by frame. And 1 second now becomes 2 minutes that we're looking at looking for something to be a penalty. If it's not clear cut and by the rules, then it shouldn't be a penalty, and we'll just keep playing the game.
And even the makeup calls, like
Oh, you know the next
it,
penalty's got to go to the other team because we've already sat 3 of them. Like, yeah,
well,
Western sat like 7 against Nebraska in a row. Like, calm down there, skipper.
and Friday I was listening to it as I was driving up to my parents. I was listening to the UMD game. Well, I tuned in. We were down 3-0 in the first period. I'm like, well, Jesus, this is not going to go well. But there was a penalty that they call. I think it was they called on UMD that Bruce Siski, and I can't remember who he was with because typically he's not with somebody while he's calling games, but um, he had an analyst and they both disagreed with the call. About 30 seconds in, the refs realized they screwed up. They called some BS penalty on North Dakota and evened it up. And even Bruce and whoever he was with, they were like, yeah, that was not even close to a penalty. It just they were trying to make it up because they screwed up. And it's, to me, if you screw up, you screw up. Live with it. Don't penalize the other team if they're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
Like there's no sense for makeup calls. There isn't. Like, yeah, I screwed up. I'm sorry. It happens. I'm human. That's what the ref should think like. But it's easier to it's easier said than done. But at the same time, I have ref hockey, and when I did, the way that I looked at it was if if you commit a penalty, I'm gonna call it. I don't care if you're the home team or the away team. If I see it and I think it was a penalty, I'm gonna call it. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. Who cares? It's still a penalty regardless.
I mean, no matter what you call it, you're pissing off half of the fan base anyway.
Yep,
Like,
exactly.
no matter what, you're hated by 50% of the people in the building at any given time. Anytime you blow your whistle, you're going to be hated for it. But at least be consistent with the rules you're calling. If it's a trip on one team and the exact same play happens on the other end of the ice, it should be a trip again. And I mean that for the entire 60 minutes of the game, or if you're in the fifth overtime and the guys have been playing for 7 hours at this point. A penalty is a penalty is a penalty, whether it's the first minute or the last minute of the game. I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be just as hated whether I blow the whistle in that first minute or that last minute.
yeah. It's and like you said, my dad always said that too because he refed for not hockey but basketball and stuff like that. He's like, no matter what you do, half the crowd's gonna hate you.
Yeah.
You know, now maybe in higher levels and whatever, it's you're not gonna hear the boos. Like, say you go to you're an NHL ref or an NFL ref or whatever, you make a call against the other team, the visiting team, they're gonna cheer make it against the home team, they're going to boo. But at the same time, there are millions of people that are watching at home that it's like, well, they're hating you because you called it against their team because they're not at the game. So it's like it's a thankless job. It's easy to criticize, but I think it I think our criticism is not so much of the actual referees in a sense. It's of the I mean, it is and it isn't. It's the lack of consistency and it's the lack of rules that the leagues have put out for the referees, and the referees don't know, like, what am I supposed to do? And it's just it seems the higher the level, the more inconsistent it gets.
Yeah.
And the lack of clarity that there is, and the more makeup calls and
Well,
all that. So
well, then it goes to the point that like they make all these changes in the off season, and these refs go to ref camp or whatever you want to call it, and they learn the new rules, but the fans aren't necessarily explaining the new rules, and then they start getting called, and you're like, why the hell am I being penalized now? Oh well, your team actually incurred 2 face-off infractions because the linesman won't drop the goddamn puck. So everyone's fighting for position, and as he's dinking around with the thing for an extra minute because he wants everyone to be in just the right spot. You got to look at each other and blink 3 times with your right eye, cross them for 2 seconds, and then blink once with your left eye. Like, dude, just drop the
uh,
goddamn puck. All right.
well, you forgot touch tips. They have to touch tips.
We're not sitting here playing the hokey pokey. All right. Put your left skate in, put your right skate out, move your left defenseman in, move your left defenseman out, put the puck on the goddamn ice and let them play hockey.
Or the not leaving the ice in time for warm-ups. That is the dumbest
Oh,
one.
yeah.
That I am sorry, but
Oh,
who gives a rat's ass if they're on there for 10 more seconds?
here's another fun rule.
Then
Did you know that the home team actually has the choice of how long intermissions are between like 12 minutes and 15 minutes or something like that?
I did not know that.
Yep. It's actually in the rule book that they can like determine how long within like a certain window of time for how long their intermissions are. So not necessarily two places have to have the same length of intermission.
I mean, I don't know exactly what UMDs are because I haven't been to enough games, but I hope it's longer because that gives me more time to go take a leak and grab another beer.
Or or
Um,
some of the other fun things that like I've heard hockey teams do, they'll set the away team's bench slightly lower than the home team's bench, so they're sitting at a different angle, and it actually like makes recovering the legs a little bit harder, or kind of gives them the sleepy legs when they go to take their next shift because they've been sitting at the wrong angle,
See,
which may or may not be solved by teams that not actually sitting on benches and just leaning on the boards.
I mean, most of the time they're not actually sitting, but
Yeah.
I I like that little gamesmanship. That part I'm fine with. That's just gamesmanship right there.
Oh yeah, like I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying there's lots of little intricacies that exist in the world of sports that we don't necessarily know about as just straight fans of sports or but
Oh, I mean, you can apparently send people to opposing teams' games and film them from the other sideline. So
yeah.
until you get caught, of course.
All right, so I guess we should talk about the games a little bit this week. We already mentioned that 4 out of the 5 series were sweeps. St. Cloud State remains undefeated in conference play. They have what is it, 12 points already, which is great for them, not great for everybody else.
Yeah,
So
but they.
back.
I mean, I was looking at I think they showed it at maybe the end of the UMD game. Um, showed the conference standings, and my mom was like, wow, is St. Cloud really? I'm like, they've just played way more conference games, and UMD had 0 points.
Yeah.
I'm like, we've only played one,
Um,
and we lost that.
They're 4-0. Miami's sitting at 0-4. They're struggling, kind of like we thought they would be. Um, Everybody else, it's a big matchup in the middle. I mean, Duluth has only played one series. They got swept.
Hmm.
North Dakota's only played one series. They swept, so they have 6 points. Denver's undefeated, playing one series, which was against Miami. Um, I will say, I think we need to pump the brakes on Western being a bad team or underperforming, because guess what? They started last year 4-6 in conference play. They ended the first half of the season losing 4 straight games. The last one was considered a tie because they went to a shootout and lost in the shootout. But they didn't win any of the last 4 games against Omaha and North Dakota. And yet somehow at the second half of the season, they went on and they took second place in the conference. So there's still plenty of hockey left to play. The team still looks decent. This was the first time they've been shut out since January 8th or 28th of last season, which was against Omaha. I mean, it's too early even in the conference schedule to say who's good and who's bad. Um, but
I mean, other than Miami.
maybe Miami, but I think a lot's still going to change. And even the most of the first half, the schedule is really wonky. I think we don't really get a good NCHC schedule until the second half of the year, just with the way everything's going. Um, and it's going to be it's kind of, I think, a predecessor to what we're going to see next year, because again, next year there's 9 teams. You know, the schedule will be something interesting to look at for conference and non-conference play, because at least one team's going to be either sitting every week and there's just going to be a rotation of bye weeks, and it's just going to be one team at a time, as opposed to, I think, like sometimes we see 2 teams that are sitting out sometimes. um but I think next year, like, they'll consistently be one team either in a conference series or a non-conference series, or they're just going to be uh bite out.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially with, people can look at St. Cloud like, oh, they have 12 points. Well, yeah, like I said, they played the most conference games and this and that and whatever. It's just difficult to tell, especially with the non-conference schedules. Other than Miami, we kind of knew what they were going to be. Um,
I mean, Miami played a pretty good non-conference schedule. I mean, that their two
it was one of
opponents.
their better ones.
Yeah, I mean, they lost. Oh no, Denver did not play Miami. St. Cloud played Miami last year or last week, and Miami has played pretty well in St. Cloud. But this St. Cloud team, like, they're really good. They have a lot of returning players. And anybody thinking that St. Cloud wasn't a good team, do I need to remind you that this is the defending tournament championship team? Like, they were a NCAA tournament team. Yeah, Jackson Castor left, but Bassie played an extremely good season last year too, and he's picking up right where he left off last year. He's just seeing more games this year. Like, he's a big goaltender who gets to the right spot. He has a defense in front of him that'll eat pucks. Like, it's a no joke team, and I think we had them in the top of the conference when we did our preseason rankings.
Hmm.
I think they started the year pretty high in the rankings this year.
And
Um,
I mean, they did, if I remember correctly. I mean, they started off with St. Thomas, which they have the past few years, but then I know they played the Gophers, and the Gophers are a really, really damn good team. And they, like, their non-conference, it wasn't like they were playing pushovers.
no,
So yeah, they may have started quote unquote slow,
they
but
they split with St. Thomas. They went to
yeah, that
overtime
was a surprise.
and a win. An overtime loss to Minnesota State, and then a loss to Minnesota State.
And Mankato has been playing pretty well.
Yeah, man, Kiddo's been playing great. A split with Alaska Fairbanks, who had been pretty decent. I think they're starting to
Hmm.
struggle a little bit now. They sweep Miami and they sweep Western. I mean, they have two. Bassie has 3 shutouts on the season already. The dude's playing lights out. He doesn't necessarily get the credit he deserves for whatever reason because he's playing these tougher teams, and maybe because his defensive partners eat shots. Like, I don't know how many shots they blocked, but they blocked a ton, and only 45 got to Bassie on the weekend that he stopped. 47 got to him. He stopped 45 of the 47 that he saw. So
Yeah, and it's again, it's against a quality opponent like Western. But what are you gonna do? Like you said, St. Cloud is the defending conference champion. Like they are a great team, and they didn't lose all that much. Yes, they did lose key pieces, but they had so many key pieces coming back.
yeah,
Uh, the,
and they
I,
hadn't won in Kalamazoo since like 2020 or 2019. So they kind of really wanted to win here.
yeah, and I had it as a split. You had it as a Western sweep, but at the same time, you were kind of like, it could go either way. Like it wasn't like Western's gonna sweep, Western's gonna do that.
Yeah,
Like
no,
you, you understood how good St. Cloud can be.
yeah. I wanted to give St. Cloud their due credit, but I also wanted to believe that the Western team can play its better games. Again, they did play a decent game. Like, I'm not saying they didn't. They just made the right passes in the right opportunities. We couldn't beat that big frame of Bassie. We couldn't get pucks to. We didn't get guys to the front of the net like we should have. We played worse offensively than we did defensively, though. Our defense played extremely well. I mean, situations, a few spots here and there, but that was more St. Cloud making the right play than it was a lapse of defensive awareness or guys getting behind the defense in the neutral zone and having clean breakaways. It wasn't anything like that. It was 3, 4 attempts on net. It was uh, nice tips in front. It was guys taking Cam's eyes away from him. There's all the small things that you want teams to do to win games, and we just weren't as effective in the offensive zone. And even Coach Frischweiler said as much in the post game conference. Like, go listen to his conferences. He said they played well. They just didn't. What's the word? Execute offensively the way they're capable of doing. That was it. And then a little bit of penalty trouble here and there because they started calling penalties a little bit more both ways on Saturday, but St. Cloud had one penalty all of Friday's game, and they did not play that clean of a game to only be penalized once.
That's fair enough. I have nothing else to add. I think since we're just running through these scores, we'll kind of go how I have them from the Friday start times. Not much to say about Colorado College and Miami.
No, that
Uh,
series was all Colorado College, start to finish.
we both had them. Miami losing Friday and winning Saturday. Yeah, Colorado College just whooped that ass. Uh, Omaha, Long Island. We both had that as a sweep. Got that correct. Not much because I will say this: it's for me. It's a weird time of year. I'm going up hunting, so I'm not able to watch as much hockey as I will starting in December. Um, I know Wes, you were at the games because the series was in Kalamazoo, so it's a little bit more difficult to watch all the games if you were at the game. So some of these we're just kind of running through. So Omaha sweeps Long Island, which we expected. Um, we already touched on it a little bit with Denver and Arizona State, where we both had Denver sweeping, but Arizona State pulled out the win 6-5 on Friday. and then Denver was able to come back on Saturday and get the dub 8-4.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
some of that might speak to the rookie goaltender that Denver's running with. Um, we might be seeing some of that inexperience, but as he gets going, he figures it out really quick. Denver's a pretty inexperienced team, I think, as a whole this year. They lost quite a few players, some name guys, but that offense is rolling already.
yeah, they've been. We've said it before, and we'll say it again. They don't rebuild, they reload. They're just it's a historic program, and what's his first name? Dave Carl,
Sure.
like Coach Carl. I know his last name is Carl. Um, even though he's young, he's been doing it already for a decent number of years at Denver. And he had coached there previously before he got the head coaching job. He knows what he's doing.
I mean, he played there too.
Yeah, he did play there too. So he knows the type of team that he wants. He knows the style that he wants to play. And sometimes when there's a coaching transition, there might be a couple lean years. There have not been any lean years in Denver since the transition, because I think he was an assistant when they won the national championship in 2017,
Yeah, I think
and
so.
then he took over in 2018, and there's been really no drop off. Um, so yeah, they might have a stumble here or there, but they're going to be right there at the top at the end. They're just a very well coached and well built team. Uh, and then the one series that I was able to watch, well, listen to and then watch, was North Dakota and UMD. Um, Ludwig Person, that son of a bitch. he he just has UMD's number for whatever reason, and it's like any sport. Certain players, like in baseball, certain players like hitting against certain pitchers. Um, Certain quarterbacks just love playing against certain teams. Whatever it is, Ludwig Person has UMD's number, and he did it again this weekend. And I was saying this to you just before we got on. Matt Thiessen played unbelievable. I would say he's taken over the net in the sense of the saves that he's making, and it's not to any fault of Stay Skull. I mean, like we talked about last week, he lost his cousin. He lost a relative to a horrific accident. You need to give the kid some time. But some of the saves that Thiessen was making, these games should have been way worse than they were as far as the score goes. And there were two problems. One was Person. The second was we can't stay out of the box. We're one of the most penalized teams in the country. Like we are above top 10. We at this point we might be top 5 penalized teams in the nation.
Let's see.
And while you're looking that up, I was commenting this to my parents and anybody that'll listen to me ramble, and my cousin too. We were a little bit worried. You and I were a little bit concerned. I wouldn't say worried, but concerned about North Dakota having a brand new defensive core coming in with transfers and freshmen, with them losing their whole defensive core and then Person going into that situation. I think the difference is Person's a very, 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 very good goaltender. And the talent level from Miami, whoever they brought in to North Dakota, there's a huge gap. North Dakota's here, Miami's here. And so I think no matter what, whoever they brought into North Dakota, he was going to be better off, and it was just going to help him shine more. And he's proven that throughout this year and even this last series. Even if he has UMD's number, that North Dakota team has elevated his game, and he's elevated them to where they want to be versus where they were last year.
Oh yeah, we're definitely seeing the improvement of talent in front of him, and it's paying off dividends for North Dakota. You guys have given up the most power play opportunities. You've had 60 power play PK opportunities, giving up 14 power play goals for a PK percentage of 76.7.
I mean, it's not great, but when you give up that many opportunities,
yeah, you are 2, 3, fourth from last in percentage. No, that's not right.
yeah.
That's still not right. Oh yeah, it is.
Well, if
Never
you
mind. We're
can
good.
admit that,
Nope. Numbers go
I would have
up
believed you.
as percentage goes up as you get better. So yeah, no, that makes sense. Lindenwood is currently the worst at 76% on the PK, giving up 12 goals on 50 opportunities.
Yeah, we're not great, but the problem is we can't stay out of the damn box. I mean, it literally all they need to do. We step on the ice, just roll out the red carpet, get the paparazzi out there. I mean, we live in that box. One of my coworkers, he I think he actually thank God he doesn't listen to this, but I believe he holds the record for the most penalty minutes for his high school.
Does he also hold the record for being the only person to try and take a skate off and stab somebody?
No, he did not.
Oh,
try to do
that's
that.
only Happy Gilmore.
Yes,
Okay.
but his coach offered to set up a TV so he could watch whatever show it was in the penalty box because he spent so much time in.
And boy was picking Gatorade flavors in the penalty box, huh?
Like I think that's what they needed you for the Bulldogs.
Surprisingly, Western has only been on the PK 31 times. That's a surprisingly low number, considering the way how some games have felt this year.
I mean, we're almost W, so maybe after this weekend we will have W.
We might honestly be like the lowest penalized team in the NCHC. Hang on a second. I need to like legitimately look at this and see. Or at least power play wise. You have 60. Denver has been on the PK 43 times. Miami 39. Omaha's only at 29. Western at 31. North Dakota at 32. St. Cloud State at 35. Where is Colorado College? I don't think I called them out.
No, you didn't. That's who I was thinking about.
They are not on this list. Where the hell is Colorado College?
They ceased to exist. North Korea sent a missile, and they decided to target Colorado College.
Oh, they've been penalized 43 times. So
So,
Nebraska, Western, North Dakota for the least penalized. All of them pretty close of each other.
and I think,
Which again is surprising. Because I think literally Western got called for like 7 or 8 on Friday alone. But that's just power play or opponent's
it
power play opportunities. So I don't know if that's pure penalties or like it wouldn't be pure penalties because of.
I mean, can you do penalty minutes?
Now it's got opponent power play goals,
Okay.
opponent power play attempts, and percentage.
But even so, um, especially once you get into conference play, being one of those least penalized teams is going to be very beneficial because outside of, I mean, really outside of Miami, if you're the Bulldogs, you're screwed. If you're giving your opponents that many opportunities to score on the power play
Yeah.
and not playing 5-on-5. Now our power play has been very good, especially for with Ben Steves, but
You are currently at 18.6%. You had no, that's the wrong one. You're at 35.7%. 15 goals on 42 opportunities on the power play.
I think Ben Steves probably had this is an exaggeration. He probably has about 12 of those. No, I think he has either 5 or 6 power play goals. I think he's one of. It seems like it at least. He's always involved in that
All right, that
because he is the trigger man.
whatever teams are in the Ivy League schools, their power play opportunities are abysmal. 19 for Brown, 14 for Harvard, 13 for Princeton. Like that's how many power play opportunities they've had. They are not getting calls or they are not drawing penalties. Hey, you want to know how many opportunities Western has had?
Hmm.
22. Right there with those Ivy League schools for how many calls they're getting. And they have 5 goals on 22 attempts. New Hampshire has 23, Northeastern is 26. Like,
This definitely is
Holy
not.
Cross has had 53 power play attempts. Michigan has had 50 power play attempts. UConn's had 45. Like, Providence has had 46. I don't know. It seems like if you can get the puck behind your opponent's net, that is a great place to draw penalties. And work in the area. Denver has had 50 power play opportunities, 12 goals.
This website is terrible.
And it seems like those are the teams that just hang out behind the opponent. Like they're able to, for lack of a better term, they're able to get pucks deep and grind away and earn those opportunities and then take advantage of them when they get them. But Western's not a team that gets a whole lot of calls in their favor. And 22 opportunities would tell you versus
Yeah.
31 PK opportunities.
So I learned the NCAA's website is absolute horseshit.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm using right now, though.
Yeah.
I know how to use it. What are you looking for? What are we looking for here?
Well, Steve's has 7 goals. Found that one.
Individual stats. Power play goals.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how many power play goals. I think he has like 5.
Ben Steves has 6 power play goals.
6 power play goals. So only one was even strength. That's what I thought. I was like, he's got like 5 or 6 power play
He's
goals.
currently tied for first with Tanner Lasich of Northern Michigan. And one ahead of Lane Hudson from Boston University, who many believe to be a front runner for the Hobie Baker even at this point in the year. Jack Devine of Denver also has 5.
And the one thing I will say about Steve's is he's not where he scores his goals from on the power play, even though he is kind of
Isn't he like top
the
of the
the
circle, like
true.
top of the faceoff circle? Not really sitting
That's
by the
not
dot.
that's not where he scores. Like, I mean, he scored his power play goals from everywhere. He likes that, but he's not Theo Ovechkin. He's scoring them from everywhere.
No. Ovechkin's more half wall outside of the faceoff circle. I think Steve's didn't he? Isn't he the one who had the hat trick from literally like on top of the faceoff circle, not the faceoff dot, like in between the circle and the blue line last year?
Oh, last year. You're asking me to remember that one.
I think he had like a
Um,
hat trick of power play goals, and that like two out of the
I
three
think
were from
so.
the exact same spot on the ice, and it
I
was
think so.
right by the top of the faceoff circle. And he had like
Yeah,
two
last
wristers, like one of them was like a turnaround or something stupid.
yeah,
But
last year.
yeah,
Yep. Yeah, I remember that. But this year so far, I mean, obviously some are going to be close when you already have six, but uh from what I've seen, he's kind of done it from everywhere on the ice. He's not really setting up in one spot, which it makes him dangerous because you don't know where he's going to be, but you need to account for him.
yeah.
But anyway, the one point that I wanted to make was going back to the start of this whole conversation about the UMD North Dakota series was, yeah, Person played great, but Thiessen also played great. The team in front of him just did not. One one team of skaters played better in front of their goalie than the other. I think both goalies played really, really well. Just one had to make more acrobatic saves than the other did. Um, suppose really quickly we can run through because we kind of talked about it a little bit. Where did that go? Our predictions from last week.
I think we just need to know the. I think I went 5-5 because
Yeah, five. You went 500. You were 5 for 5, and I was 6-4. I think the only difference. Yeah, the only difference I think was the Western game. Uh, yeah, that was the one game difference was the Western series, where I predicted a split and you predicted a sweep.
right. Players of the week: forward Noah Laba from Colorado College, defenseman Joaquim Lamay. It depends on where you're from. Omaha. Uh, Miko Medica, the rookie from Denver. Man, some of these names, they're going to get worse as these years go on because I think Western's got like two Finnish kids.
Well, the Finns I'll be able to help you with, but
Are
the
you know,
it's like that Key and Peel bit.
yeah, we got some Finns coming in on after signing day, and then goaltender Caden Emberko after sweeping Miami. We talked about this before the show. I don't know that that's the right pick. I probably would have taken Bassey on that one. I think he played a little bit of a better team. He might have had more help out front, seeing as Emberko faced 61 shots. I mean, 61 saves on 63 shots. I mean, it's a toss up at that point. Just the shootout for me takes the cake. Um, but a good performance, a good weekend from Emberko. So we'll see as he gets more into conference play and some tougher opponents like he's got this weekend if those numbers stack up and stay that way. But yeah, those are the players of the week. The KJ Branding NCHC Players of the Week, to be more specific, as they have a sponsor since I think they got it last season. This week's schedule, we finally have our first full NCHC conference weekend. It looks like it might be the only one of the first half of the season. Oh, nope, there's another one there.
Yeah, and I was just going to give you a fair warning. These are the teams that I wrote down, even though seems to be that they're all the away teams.
There's some
So
there's some storylines this week. I don't know if you paid attention to that or not.
Nope, but for our purposes, for the record, I have Western, UMD, Miami, and Omaha. So apparently, I just wanted to go with the away teams.
Yes, Miami is headed to Grand Forks to take on North Dakota. So Umberco will see his, or not Umberco, Person will see his old team. Does Miami have some tricks up their sleeve for their former goaltender? I'm going to go with probably not. I don't. That team just does not seem to be great. The defense of North Dakota seems to be more than up to the task of being what they need to be in front of Ludwig Person. They may have lost enough players. I mean, there's still plenty of guys who have practiced against Person, and they might have some spots to pick. But I think goaltenders do more frustrating of forwards at practice than forwards do of goaltenders at practice for the most part, as we've learned with our so fun conversations with goaltender Trevor Gorsuch over the years. I think the train keeps rolling down the track for North Dakota. I don't see Miami really getting going in either of these games. I don't think they're not going to get shut out in either game. I think they'll be able to pick up a goal here and there. But I'm going to give North Dakota the sweep, which was my downfall last week, not putting enough sweeps in. I'm not picking a sweep for every freaking series this week, though. I'll tell you that.
I already put you down for the sweep for North Dakota because that's what I did, and I just for how well North Dakota's playing, and it being Miami, yeah, that was pretty easy.
The rivalry renews between your Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs and the St. Cloud State Huskies. This contest is always a dogfight. Full pun intended. I knew it was coming. I was prepared for it. Just slid that one right in there. You know, both teams going to be looking to hopefully get a leg up in the series. Ooh, another dog pun. Boom, boom. Freaking on it today. No, you're going to need to put those back in. Let's go. Put them back in. Oh, I got some more. Let's go. Hurry it up. You know, this one might come down to who does a better job of staying out of the pound. And by the pound, I mean the penalty box. Another dog pun. Freaking snuck it in there.
I'm gonna leave this in about 2 seconds if you don't shut the fuck up.
But no, I mean this rivalry has been very important the last few years to not only the playoffs in general, but to who's taking home the bone at the end of the season. That being the Frozen Faceoff Trophy. I would like to see Duluth build on what they got out of Thiessen last weekend. I mean, I know it was a sweep by North Dakota, but I think that they're starting to come around a little bit. A rivalry game might just be what they need.
The problem is we've already had 2 of them. 2 series.
Yeah, but again, this is like the one that's built in to be your conference rival. It's a team that you could potentially once again see 3 times. I mean, you've seen them 6 times in the last 2 years.
Is North Dakota not built in for next year too?
Well, they are starting next year, okay?
But it's always they've always been a historic rival.
Yeah, but
So
not to the same degree that the NCHC wants this one to be. Okay, calm down.
it's more of a degree than what the NCHC wants this to be. Hey, I've lived it, so I'm gonna counteract
I'm
your
not
points.
saying you're not wrong. I'm just saying this has been the built-in rivalry for these two teams for the first 10 years of the 11 years of the conference. Now that we're in the 11th year of the NCHC, they told North Dakota to go play with Omaha, and we're going to keep
Crazy.
the Minnesota rivalry alive and healthy. And it has been a pretty healthy rivalry with you two competing for playoff seeding and for trips to the Frozen Face Off, and the winner of that playoff series winning the damn thing from the
And
4 and 5 spot of the
and
conference.
even frozen face-off championship games in overtime or double overtime.
Yeah. So suck it, nerd. Uh
Hey, I'm still not wrong. Yeah, scratch your head more.
this one is a head scratcher, all right? Man, St. Cloud is really freaking rolling, but I don't want them to sweep another damn series. So it'd be cool if Duluth could come out and just pick up a win of one of these games. But which one do they win? Um, I'm gonna say that they win Friday, and St. Cloud wins Saturday.
And I have the exact opposite of you, I think. I and the reasoning for that is um I think St. Cloud keeps it rolling on Friday. It's even though my Bulldogs have a week of practice to get ready for St. Cloud, and uh, obviously Scott knows Brett very well, Brett Larson, because Brett used to coach at UMD. I think St. Cloud comes out firing on Friday night, but UMD makes the adjustments on Saturday. I just don't think they're going to quite have recovered from that North Dakota series
You
uh, on Friday night.
you say that, but for whatever reason, the away teams have gotten a really good jump on Friday night games this year. I don't know if it's
They
something about like getting your legs back as soon as you get off the bus and you get that skate in that just settles you in, but they do not seem to have like the jet lag or the bus legs that we've seen in years past. And away teams have been very competitive in early games and then kind of lulled into some sort of false sense of security on a lot of Saturday games. But
well,
you make your
my
picks
counterpoint to
and I'll
that
make mine.
is look at what UMD did against was it Cornell? We got our asses kicked
Hey, I'm just looking
on that Friday.
at last week where away teams went 3-2 on Friday.
And I'm just looking at my Bulldogs and what they've done. And they haven't done very well on the road. Now we haven't been on the road very much, but usually when we've been on the road, well, we lost to the Gophers on the Friday night, but we did beat Bemidji. No, that was a home and home. I think. Did we lose it? I don't remember, but basically the record, the way the Bulldogs play on the road, Friday is going to be a loss. So that's how I have it. So the exact opposite of you.
You swept Bemidji. You won both games
Oh, we
as
did.
the home
Okay,
team and the away team.
that's how much I remember. Whatever.
Omaha at Denver. Denver coming off of the split with Arizona. I see teams play each other pretty well, but I feel like Denver plays really well at home.
They do, but this, even with Denver playing well at home, I think for me this might be the toughest one, honestly. Um, and a lot of it has to do with, as we say so often, Omaha being that wild card. Like you don't know which team you're going to get. There's no consistency with Omaha.
They're consistently inconsistent.
Yeah, that's the only consistency that they have. Um,
Denver is currently 2-0-1 at home, 5-2-0 on the road. They've not played. I mean, they haven't played a lot of home games. Um, I'm gonna give Denver the sweep. They're so good at freaking home. Omaha's too inconsistent. I mean, like Cozy's been decent. Denver's on a tear as far as goal scoring this year. They have scored at least 3 goals in every game they've played this year. Do not have a game of less than 2 goals. They have a 3-4 loss to Providence and a 5-5 shootout loss to Augustana. And a 5-6 loss to Arizona State.
yeah, that Augustana weekend, because they did the Denver CC thing. That was that was freaking weird.
Yeah.
That I don't know where the hell that came from. Um, I
And let's see. And this is that. Is this seriously their first 2 games away from home all year? Yeah, this is
Omaha.
Omaha's first trip away from Baxter Arena. They're 5-2-1 at home. Oh and 0-0 on the road because they haven't played on the road yet. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with my Denver sweep. I don't like the fact that Denver or Nebraska doesn't go on the road.
I'm I'm partly with you on that one. Um, but I'm going to call it a split with Denver winning Friday because crowd hasn't been able to see them that much. They're going to be amped up. They're going to want to put on a good show. Um, and then Saturday, Omaha winning. They've had a little more time. They can get those potential adjustments in. Um, it could go the other way. It could be a sweep. Again, it's more on Omaha than it is Denver with the consistently inconsistent. Um, but I think Omaha's been playing well enough to earn a sweep, and I don't think Denver has been playing well enough or to earn a split. And I don't think Denver has been playing well enough to earn the sweep. I know that was one hell of a sentence. Um, so Denver wins on Friday. Omaha wins on Saturday.
And last up is Western traveling to Colorado College. Western has controlled the series as of late, except for when it's in the damn playoffs for whatever reason. Um, Also, Western has been an extremely good away team the last 2 years. 2021, 2022, they were 12-6-1 on the road. They were also 12-4 at home, which was a really good record. Last season they were 8-8 at home, 8-1 at home, 12-6-0 on the road, 3-1 in neutral game sites or neutral site games. And they're currently 1-1 on the road and 2-2 at home. For whatever reason, dude, Western doesn't care that they're the away team. I think it benefits them to play at Lawson because that place is just so loud for so long that
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
they don't
And
really.
I've been there.
Yeah, that being the away team doesn't really bother them just because of the noise level they get at home. If anything, I think like they it's weird for me to say, like, I don't know if they necessarily want to be that team that quiets the home crowd just because they I feel like they want the noise and the energy to be up because that's what they're used to. And if they actually quiet a game down, then they're playing out of their comfort zone maybe. But they've played extremely well on the road the last 2 years. They've played extremely well against Colorado College every time they've played Colorado College. Um, at least in the regular season. Again, 2 playoff series losses to these clowns.
Careful on what you say there.
I said what I said.
You almost said something else.
Cox?
No, there's a U involved in that word.
No, I was definitely not going to say that one. I was not going to say see you next Tuesday. All right, calm down. But dating back to 2019, 2020. Or 2018, 2019 was the last playoff series win. Let's see, what is this one? That is their last regular season win was 2018, 2019, or February 2019 was their last regular season win against Western Michigan. Well, they have a shootout win. Other than the playoffs, I mean, all time they are 4-8-4 at home, 5-13-1 at Lawson, 9-22-6 overall against the Broncos. So they struggle with Western Michigan. Their defense, Caden and Berko is their defense. Let's just be real. I mean, the kids stopped 61 shots last weekend against Miami. I don't know that you can have a better example of your goaltender being your entire freaking defense than 61 saves against Miami. Like, what? And I would say that Western is a much better offense than Miami.
I was gonna say, again, it's Miami.
And in fact, I think last year in all 4 games in the regular season, Western put up 4 on Emberco. Let me double check my mathematics here. But I'm 95% sure that that is correct. They just struggled against them in the playoffs. Stupid. At home. Stupid. So if you want to make your pick while I check my memories.
Yeah. Well, I have a Western sweep. And that it's partly based off of what you were saying that Western is a good team on the road. And so far the road teams have been doing very well. But Colorado College, even last year with Hunter McCown, they didn't really have an offense outside of him. And their defense is in Berco. Uh, Western is a much better offense, and Ham is a very, very good goaltender. Um, he struggled a little bit in the early season last year, but I think that was more getting used to the team that he was playing with and the system. He turned it on at the end of the year. Now that he's a full year into that system, he understands what's happening. Um, yeah, Western's coming off of getting swept, but like we said, that's a very good St. Cloud team.
Yeah.
It's one of the best in the conference, if not one of the best in the nation. And Colorado College just isn't that. And they haven't played that strong of a non conference schedule, and they lost to upstart Augustana. It, it's like I just had to look up the fewest points scored in the NFL for any football fans. I mean, it's like watching the New York Giants. They've only scored 118 points this year, or the New York Patriots, or you know, basically any Thursday night football game that they decide to put on. Um, it Colorado College, they're trying,
They're sitting at
and
7-3 right now.
but their non-conference, I don't think was that great.
No, they swept Union. They swept Long Island. They beat up on the Air Force. They only lost one non-conference game, and that was the one to Augustana, which was 3-4. Um, they have Arizona State next weekend after Western. They have Minot State as an exhibition game in December.
So a club team.
Yeah.
They yeah,
They just trounced Miami 9-2 on the weekend. But no, I mean I get your point. They're let me see here. I want this one. I want this one.
I think
They are sitting at they've scored 40 total goals, given up 28 overall. They've scored 11 conference goals and given up 13.
yeah, the thing is they're trying at
They're
least
improving.
like yeah,
They're fighting for
and,
that 6-5-6 spot instead of that 7-8 spot this year.
and there's I mean, I think they lost the pieces that got them to the Frozen Face-Off final last year. Um, Other than Umberco, they lost those offensive pieces, but the difference between them and Miami as the bottom feeders is Miami just feels like they're mailing it in. Like they just feel like,
They just can't get
eh,
anything to go right in Miami.
we
Colorado,
know we're gonna
I
be
would almost say
here.
this.
Screw it.
I would almost say it's the other way around. I think Colorado might be, or Miami might be pushing too hard. I think Colorado College played some really good defense at the end of the year. I do not see that same defense to this point this year. And, I think it's more of what we saw at the beginning of the year last year with them up until the playoffs. But Western outscored them 14-4 last year. They put up 4 on them, 3 straight games of 4-1 scores, and then the final game was only 2-1. But
Yeah, I don't know, I just don't have faith in Colorado College, even though they're trying. It, to me, it just seems like they're trying more than Miami, but they're trying. It's just like until they started to prove me wrong at the end of last year in the playoffs, but until they consistently prove me wrong, they're kind of like that kid that everyone cheers for because they're trying and they're putting their heart into it, but they're just not that good. Um, that's where they sit for me. So again, back to the thing. I have Western sweeping.
Again, I don't want to pick a Western sweep every goddamn weekend. I think this one calls for it a little more
But you are.
than last weekend did. Like, I knew St. Cloud State was going to be tough. I should have at least picked a freaking split there.
Yeah, you should have to keep your 3-game lead on me.
It's really mostly the fact that they gave up so many shots to Miami, and Berco played well, but Berco played extremely well last year, and Western found the back of the net. I don't know if he played in all 4 of those games.
I
I
think he
think
got hurt in one of them.
no, he played in all 4 because they were after the holiday break last year. Because I was gonna say I think he might have missed one of them, but I think he was
Oh
there
no,
for
that was the St. Cloud series that he like got his tooth chipped.
yeah.
That's right.
Um, and I don't remember. Matt Vernon might have come in relief of one of the games, but Western can make some goalies look like Swiss cheese. They did not do so well with Bassie. They do tend to struggle, I think, with bigger goaltenders. I think Empirico's kind of mid-sized. I don't know that he's super tall or big. Bassie just felt big. Like, that dude felt like he was not giving up any part of the net. But Western's got to execute better. They got to get bodies down low. They got to put people in front of Empirico. I think that's the key to beating him. We saw it last year. Teams that were, if he sees the puck, he's going to stop it. It doesn't matter if you're shooting it from the blue line, the red line. You could be shooting it from your own zone. If he sees that puck, he's going to get a glove on it, a pad on it, the blocker on it. He's stopping the puck. If you take his eyes away and you shoot from tough angles, bounce it off of things, you might have a shot at getting a clean goal. But otherwise, shoot it hard and hope it trickles past him, really.
Well, you would definitely be right about Bassie being bigger than Umberco. Uh, Bassie is 6'6".
He is fucking huge.
Umberco is 5'11". So, um,
I was also sitting a lot closer to Bassie this year than I was in Berco last year, so I wasn't entirely sure. But that man was huge because like we were at like eye level, and my seat is in the first row, and like to get to my seat, I'm at like board level. Remember how the seats were in Nashville, where you went up those stairs and you were at like the top of you were walking at like the top of the boards.
yeah,
That's
yep,
basically where my seat is this year, and me and that dude were like eye to eye. Like
yeah.
if he were skating and looking at me, we would have been looking at eye to eye with each other. He is a big dude. But last year when I saw him Berco, like I was a few rows higher up, and so like it was the perspective was different, so I couldn't tell if he was like a big dude or not. But I didn't think he was.
No, and you even see him in the net, and you're like, I think Umberco,
He
not that Bassie doesn't, but
and Berco plays
Umberco
bigger
relies.
than he is. He relies on his speed and his agility to get from point to point. Where
I was going to say positioning and then athleticism, which
yes,
is exactly what you just said,
yes, where
versus size.
Bassie just puts his ass in a region and says, "Get it around me, motherfucker."
It's like that. You'll probably remember this. I think it was like a Geico commercial or whatever, and it
Uh,
was like putting a sumo wrestler in the net, and the dude was just like as big as the net, and he planted his ass in at the goal line. They were
yeah,
shooting in warm ups, and he couldn't get it past him.
yeah.
Uh,
Turns out you need a little
yeah,
bit of both. You need at least some ability to move and some size. But yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a different story than this weekend. I'm gonna. I feel more comfortable taking a sweep here with Western the way they've played Colorado College the last few years, but I think maybe some of the magic wore off with that um, playoff loss. And Western's going to look for revenge on that. I mean, I know that the game doesn't have as much at stake as being a playoff series, but anytime the next time you see that opponent is the time to like, hey, that was not how this is gonna go. That is not the norm of this series, and you need to know your role. All right.
I think they're going to be. I think at least one game is going to be close. Um, I don't think both will be close, but I think maybe, and this doesn't count for official predictions or anything. I think Saturday is going to be closer than Friday.
Yeah, I
Um,
can see that.
but I think Friday is going to be a bigger win for Western.
I just hope Western can continue this trend of decent defense that we saw last week. Um, Continue to build on that. The offense will come around. You know, they had some off weeks last year too, but there's some really talented players. Phillips has got to get back to getting in front of the net. He did not do as good of a job this last week as he has in the past. Um, Continue to play without the puck. That is that kid's biggest advantage that he has and brings to the game. Um, and I think we'll see a different Western team, and everyone can be happy and proud and think they're the greatest team in the world again. But it'll change every week. Uh,
I wouldn't say everyone, but I'm still
every
going to
Western
cheer for the
fan. All
Broncos.
right. Um, I think the power rankings for the conference, I think you have to put St. Cloud number 1. Denver is slipping a little bit. I think North Dakota's settled into the number 2 spot. Um,
I
Denver
see.
feels like it's number 3. I don't
Before
feel
you go any further, I'm just going to say with how North Dakota's been playing, you could make an argument for them being number 1, and St. Cloud number 2, just based off of overall performance this year.
think.
Uh,
I mean, you could.
that I would have it North Dakota 1, St. Cloud 2. As much as I hate to say North Dakota 1, um, but that's the way that I look at it.
Yeah, no,
Like
I think you're right. I mean, the only reason I go St. Cloud is just the recency bias. St. Cloud's played more conference series right now. Um, Granted, I think North Dakota played a much more difficult non-conference series.
and I think that's why I have them 1.
Yeah, no, I think yeah, we could switch that around. We can go North Dakota 1, St. Cloud 2. Denver feels like a solid 3.
Yep.
Omaha. Mm, is Omaha 4 though? I feel like
I
they deserve to be ahead of Western because of Western being swept by St. Cloud, but
that
I don't see Western being lower than 5, and I don't want I mean, Colorado College is not 4.
No, Colorado College is not a 4. Um,
Uh, Colorado College feels like 6 to me, even though they have a slightly better
I think
conference record than Western does right now. They're 2-2.
you could put Western 4, even though they got swept. They got swept by a St. Cloud team that has quote unquote underperformed to what we expected them to be. Um, I think you could put Western 4, Omaha 5.
Colorado College got swept by Denver and swept Miami. That's why they're 2-2. Yeah, I go
I,
I go Omaha 4, Western 5, Colorado College 6, Duluth 7th, and Miami. They are living in the Miami place.
yeah, Miami has they built the home. They're expanding down at 8. The it's kind of the same argument that I have or that I had with North Dakota being one that I have with Colorado College and UMD being 6 and 7. Um, I wouldn't put UMD any higher than 6, especially with what I've watched. Um, the only I think I would put UMD 6, Colorado College 7 because Colorado College lost to Augustana. UMD, even though it was technically considered a tie, they won in a shootout against the Gophers. That would kind of be my only tie break, but between the two of them, honestly, it can go either way. That, and I hate saying it because it's my team, but that's the way that it is. They're either 6th or 7th, depending on which way you want to look at it. I think it's kind of like a 50-50 shot, whichever way you want to look at it. But I have UMD 6, Colorado College 7th, and then Omaha kicking back with a glass of wine, smoking a cigar in their smoking robe, down at the bottom.
You mean Miami?
Or did I say Omaha?
Yes, you did.
Oh, yeah. I meant Miami.
Yep. I mean, you changed my mind at the top. You're not going to change my mind at the bottom. I'll put Colorado College above Duluth for right now.
Yeah,
Until I see
that's
them
fair.
play more common opponents. But again, I mean, it's going
Yeah,
to change every week, and it's just going to kind of be the culmination of what we've seen the most recent week added to how we feel about previous weeks. So St. Cloud's got a good hold at the top of the conference right now. They can build on that lead as they continue to play conference games, but they've also played. Everybody's either played 2 games or 4 games, so not much um, to really hold weight there just yet. But off to a good start for St. Cloud, and sometimes it's how you start does a lot to help if you can negotiate that back end semi successfully. You can't win the conference in the first weeks, but you can definitely put yourself in a good spot, and you can be out of the running pretty quickly, as Miami is once again proving.
I was just gonna say Miami.
All right, that's gonna do it for this one. We were a little late. We're going a little long. Um, it is what it is. There's some YouTubey things you can do. You can hit like, you can hit share, you can hit subscribe, you can hit dislike, you can leave a comment. You don't have to. You can do any of those things. You can hit us up on Twitter on the page. You can hit us up on Twitter individually. Our names have been at the bottom of the screen. We've got some potentially a guest coming in the second half of the season. We'll try and make that work as best we can. And a different take. Once again, we're not necessarily looking for just straight player guests. Trying to get back to that, bringing a different take to the world of the NCHC, hitting up some people who may not always be at the forefront of what people want in or people that expect in guests, not necessarily want. That was the wrong word, but that'll do it for us, I believe. Mike, any final parting words for the people who stumble upon us and their wonderfulness that they possess by doing so?
I'm sorry you had to sit through this. No, I'm kidding. uh, yeah, if you stumble across this, do what Wes says. That's what I do most of the time. Some of the time,
It'd be great if you would just throw
about
the
5% of the time.
It'd be great if you just threw the dogs a bone and hit that like button or that subscribe button. That's one more dog pun for Mike because he loves them so much. We're out of here. Adios.